Suspension is what allows your tires to keep grip to the road, keep your spine intact, and is often an overlooked upgrade when looking to make your motorcycle better. Today we're going to talk suspension, we're going to talk terms, and we're going to review on suspension technologies. Spring rate, compression, preload, dampening, rebound, hard, fast, soft, slow. This is just some of the terms used when talking about suspension and what you need to look in for the suspension that you want to use. Let's go over these terms. First up is spring rate. Spring rate is the core of your shock, whether it's front and back. It isolates your backside from the road and it keeps your wheels on the ground. Spring rate is usually measured in pounds per inch. This allows your tires to travel and follow dips and bumps along the road. Next up is spring preload. Spring preload is the spring compression from its free length when the shock component is fully extended. So adding and taking away preload is going to soften and harden the feel of the shock. And the spring preload goes into our next term, which is setting sag, which we've all heard. So sag. Sag's the first thing that you are going to set up when installing suspension. Whether it's you or the person installing, they're going to set your sag measurement. The sag measurement is the distance of how much this shock compresses when a load is put on it at a static sitting still. You know, static means not moving. You have free sag, which is how much it compresses when the bike is put on it. And then you have rider sag, of course, which means when you put the rider and that weight on it. The easiest way to think about sag is how much availability of suspension travel you have to go down in the dips of the road and come back without bottoming out. Damping. Not dampening. Dampening is when you wet a rag and wipe your face shield off. Damping, it is the slowing of the movement of a force that's oscillating. The best example is a pogo stick that has no damping. The spring is just allowed to go in and come back out. There's not a slow controlled movement of that. So it's pushing a person on the pogo stick to jump up. Now going on over some of those terms, let's talk about suspension technologies. We went and we were fortunate enough to actually meet the owner, Mike, at Suspension Technologies. And with a lot of research, a few discussions with him, we decided to go with him and give him a try. We spent the last 21 days riding suspension technologies. Here's some of the clips with Mike talking. We want to apologize. We had a few technical issues with the mic when we first got there, but I'll leave a link below that lets Mike go through what he was telling us. There's some other videos out there that explains how they build these shocks. But the cool thing is we got to go over and see their testing side, and we'll roll that right here.
And we can compare that to the master graph every time. Kevin, who has been doing this with us now for, I don't know, 12 years, he can, and myself, we can just look at the graph and go, yep, it's right. I know what the numbers are supposed to be. You can look at a graph and tell if the shock is low on oil, if the gas pressure is incorrect, if the piston nut's not torqued correctly, if the valving that's, you know, and that's, again, this, every single race team, every single NASCAR team on the planet has one of these. Every single motorcycle top-notch racing team has one of these, okay? Because when you make a shock change, you need to document, did that do what I wanted to do? So that's critical. And again, you know, I know Owens has a boatload of these, JRI has a boatload of these. You know, those are phenomenal companies. I don't know about everybody else in the industry. I barely can keep up with our little segment. So, but I'm sure top quality companies have a good dyno.
And that's why, what you're talking about, like race teams and stuff, that's why they have a guy that specializes.
Yep.
Because it's not just put a shock on there and go when you're talking about stuff. You have to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
especially when you're making changes.
And that's what I did. That's where I come from. I came from the racing industry. I worked with the shock specialist. I was a shock specialist, and it's like, you learn things, you know, and there's all kinds of cool things out there, technology that helps you do your job. And so, and again, it's, when you think about the amount of time and energy NASCAR teams or F1 teams or professional motocross teams put into suspension, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. So anyways, that's it. That's
very impressed with that. I'm telling you, I did a lot of research. I've rode a lot of suspensions, and right now, just bang for your buck, it is hard to find this. We put the suspension through several different types of road conditions. Bad roads, highways, patched roads, canyons, mountains, rain, wind, off-road, slick roads, downtown traffic, standstill traffic. I'm telling you, it just blew us away. And we did this 2-up, so we really had this thing loaded down. We had Miss Hellbelly on the back. We had about another 150 pounds of weight in the back of the bike. And this thing was just blowing my mind. How I have used several other brands, and the ride to me is right there par on the very, what do you want to say, name brands of what's on the market. What blew me away was the handling. What a lot of people don't know is your rear shocks are for your ride, your front forks are for your handling. With all the weight, this bike handled like I was not even loaded down. We put about, I want to say, well, we had to go to Florida. We put about 8,000 some miles on this set of suspension. I'm just blown away. Like, I can't say enough about this suspension, especially for the price point. For the price point, this thing it's right there with the top guys. Top guys that you go out there, the name brands that you see plastered all over social media. This setup is on point of that, but yet at a way more affordable price point. What blows me away is also the customer service. The whole team down there was just nice, cool, laid back, friendly, helpful, and I can't say enough for those guys. They accommodated us. We were supposed to be there one day, and we ran into a problem, couldn't get there until the next day, and they were just super helpful with accommodating our schedule. I will go out and say, I love this. I highly recommend this. I highly recommend you going to Suspension Technologies, looking at their products, giving them a call, or if you see them at one of the bike weeks, stop by and talk to them. Their whole goal is to make a superior product that is affordable to as many people as possible. All the components are made in USA. You don't have all the extra stuff everywhere, you know, the external reservoir and all that, but yet it performs just as well as those setups. You don't have to have a spanner wrench. You don't have to worry about services. You got 100,000 mile service intervals, lifetime warranties. They stand behind their products. They love to make their customers happy, and I just can't say enough. So here's a few clips over the last 20-some days of us putting this through the test. If you have any more questions, just hit us up. We love to help people. You know, I love to talk to as many of you as we can, and get ready to see a lot more cross country. Thanks. Don't forget to subscribe, and as another small channel mafia friend of mine says, hit that little bell icon and get all the notifications. Thanks.